Hello, and welcome back to the Family Home Podcast. This is a special podcast series to accompany the launch of our new book, The Family Home, which is officially out now and available to order. And we're excited for today's episode.
Today's episode is a bit different. We're not interviewing anyone. Instead, we're answering questions sent in by listeners. So we've got, looks like about a dozen questions. Very fun and interesting and probing questions. So hopefully we'll provide good answers to those.
So we'll go through each question one by one. These were sent in through email and on Instagram. So people asked some really wonderful questions. Thank you all who sent them in. And we're going to just have a nice, candid chat. Lots of people asked about our home and sort of our parenting within our home and our ideas of a good home. And so, yes, we've got some great questions to answer.
Yeah. Are we starting from the top? Or?
We are starting from the top. The question that we received so many people asked the same question is about us having put our house up for sale earlier this year. So lots of people said, I thought you were selling your house. Have your plans changed? So
we tried. We put the house on the market in sort of mid-January last year.
This year?
Yeah, this year, actually. Sorry, it feels like last year already. But yeah, this year. And we had really great turnout. We had lots of people interested and probably did about half a dozen viewings.
Open houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the end, we didn't get the offer that we were hoping to get. And at the same time, we didn't find a property that we wanted to buy. So our big idea was that we would sell this house and buy something for about half the price. That would be another project, a big reno, hopefully. And we were excited about the prospect of doing that again. But there wasn't really the right thing in the market. And also, we didn't get the right offer. So after, I think it was on for about 4 months, we took it off. And
we're still here.
And we'd still sell too if
the
offer came along.
Yeah.
We're still excited about the possibility of renovating a new home or taking on a new project.
It was a funny journey, really, because I did. I kind of went up and down emotionally with that journey. You know, I really had to psych myself up in order to be excited about selling this house. And then I think I finally got there. And then when it didn't sell, it was kind of like, oh. And then I had to kind of psych myself up about loving this house where we live. And we do love the house. And that's the other thing is it's a really special old house and it's in a really great location where that makes our lives really easy because we're right in town and the kids can just walk into town and they walk to the school bus and the teenagers walk to their after school jobs. And it really requires little driving for us. And it's a special old house. It's got its quirks and things that we don't love about it. But in the end, it is a really beautiful house. We're very lucky to live here. And so I think we had to kind of wrap our head around the fact that we might not be in such a good location and we might have to make a lot of compromises on things in order to find something else. And so anyway, we didn't end up selling. We couldn't find something to buy. So we're here for a while. And
we might.
The kids are actually quite happy about it, I think. I think they didn't really want to move.
Yeah, I guess it would have been dependent on where we were moving, what we had found.
Yeah.
They could have gotten excited if the right property had come along, I'm sure.
Wilkie was just excited about the idea of a house with a pool. So he was easily convinced to sell if we could have a pool wherever we went. But the others were a bit more opinionated. So in the meantime, we're still here in this
charming old house.
Yeah. So the next question was, how do you manage bad weather and little kids at home?
Yeah, so our policy has always kind of been to not let the weather stop us. And we had the most little kids when we lived in London. And obviously the weather is an issue there quite a lot. Surprisingly, it is here too. It rains as much here as it does there, just a different type of rain.
Mm.
But so, our policy was just to get out, put the raincoats on, get the bikes out, go to the parks and get a bit wet, but still just, not let that stop you. Encourage the kids to get into the garden. Obviously, there are days where it's too wet. You can't do that, or it's just coming buffeting down.
Well, when we lived in London, there was lots to do inside too. There were so many museums and galleries and restaurants and, activities that you could do inside. So
And with little kids.
even with little kids.
Yeah.
So, we really enjoyed the city for that reason. But here, there's obviously nothing to do inside when it rains. And so it can be actually really frustrating, because unless you're going to just endure the weather, we can go to the beach, we can surf in the rain still. Thankfully, it's never really that cold. So we can kind of be outside getting wet and it's not that cold. But to answer the question, if you've got kids at home,
Little ones, yeah.
for whatever reason, the weather's bad or maybe they're sick and they have to be home. I think that's obviously it's tricky and it requires a lot more of your attention and energy to keep them entertained.
Yeah.
We will put on a podcast or a audiobook for our children. So Wilkie's been really into audiobooks. That's a good one that we found that kind of keeps them entertained, and it's something they can kind of put on in the background and still play quietly, or like some of the kids will knit while we listen to an audiobook.
Yeah, and they'll play board games. We had a cyclone, or more of a cyclone threat than an actual cyclone where we live.
A few months ago.
Yeah, and it meant the power was out for a few days. And so that was great because no one was asking to get on a device
and it forced the teenagers off their devices, which was actually so nice because then they wanted to hang out with the little kids and be a part of our family games. And so we played lots of games together and we read books and we cooked yummy meals. We tried to cook all the things in the fridge before they went off. They went off because we had no power. So, I mean, I think it's a tricky question to answer. When we had little kids, our kids were pretty good at playing with each other.
Yeah.
And now it's slightly trickier with the different, like we've got teenagers and then we've got Wilkie. And so I think Wilkie often gets bored easily.
I think that the hardest thing now, just looking back, because when they were little in London, there were no devices. They weren't even aware of what a device was.
Yeah.
So they weren't asking to put on a television or put on or to use our phones. That was not even within their sort of understanding of what was possible to do. And so it's different than when you've got teenagers who have devices and you've got an 8-year-old who sees how alluring the device is. And of course, his default is going to be to ask for that
movie.
So we spend a lot of time managing his expectations around how often he can have a device, and obviously he doesn't get a phone without supervision, but we might let him watch a movie on the computer.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think another thing, I'm not trying to say that we're good at any of these things, but I think another thing that we have done well is having lots of crafts in the cupboard, craft supplies. We've designated, like, in this old house, we have hardly any built-in storage, and we've got one built-in cupboard that's like near our kitchen and dining area, and that's designated to craft supplies. And so we've got good craft supplies on hand that in a cupboard that's easily accessible. We really encourage a lot of creativity in our children, and like we're sitting in a room here where there's Quinn's sewing machines, and behind us, I can't even show you the floor because it's so messy. There are so many craft supplies and like cardboard pieces from the last craft we did. There's like sticks that we collected. So anyway, I think we're good at encouraging creativity in our kids when we've got bored kids at home.
It takes energy.
It does. It takes time and energy.
It's our time to kind of guide them and what they should be doing. The other thing is, if we need to go out of the house, whether it's to pick up groceries or to run around, I like to take like Wilkie especially with us, just to get him out of the house and get him away from the idea that, he could possibly be watching a movie or,
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's just...
Or get him to just help with the cooking or get him to help in the garden, even if we're going to get wet.
Um, so someone asked the question, as your kids have gotten older, how has your vision of a well-serving home changed? Um, which is a great question. I think we definitely feel like this house started to feel titchy and small as soon as our teenagers started to become bigger because they take up more presence in the space, and they're bigger, and also they kind of want space too. So our house is small, and the kind of living room, kitchen, dining are all very um I mean, that's kind of the only space that we can all be together. And I think that our teenagers, maybe it's just a teenage thing, that I feel like our teenagers like to go into their bedrooms because there is no kind of parent-free zone in our house. There's not like a downstairs or a teenage hang zone or like a den or even like a comfy sofa with a television on the wall.
On the first house we rented here, there was a garage that they could hang out in.
And they did.
And they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like those things are priorities. Like if we were to build a house again, I would definitely build like a hang zone for teens that's like separate to like your like
Kitchen,
living dining space, because they really like that.
But
And
at the opposite end of the spectrum, with young kids, it's completely different because they want to be near to you.
oh, this is the perfect house for young kids,
Yeah.
R1, because they just want to be near you. So everyone can be on top of each other, and you actually, when they're little, you just need a very little house, actually.
Yeah. Well, we had in London, we had a typical terraced home over 3 floors.
Yeah.
Some of them were 4 that we rented. But anyway, we had a playroom at the top, but the kids, when they were little, hardly wanted to be up there because it was just
They just want to play downstairs.
too far.
You were. Yeah.
They had great toys up there, and the whole room that they could just run amok in.
They would sneak in there when we put them to bed at night, though, upstairs, because they could like kind of sneak in there and play quietly, which was actually so cute. But yeah, I mean, little kids just want to be near you.
They do. Yeah.
I think another thing, and this is maybe TMI, but like I would love to have a house where our bedroom and bathroom are on one side of the house and all the teenagers and all the children's rooms are on the other.
Yeah, so that's when you have older children.
When you have older children, I think when you have younger kids, you kind of want their bedrooms near yours, but it would be really nice to have a bit of separation.
So yeah, the vision of a well-serving home is completely different depending on where you are in your parenting journey, right?
I think so.
In our opinion.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And as your kids like grow up and get kind of their own hobbies and stuff. Like when they're little, you kind of just need space for them to play, some space for them to play outside too. And
location really matters when they get older, because as Courtney was saying before,
because we have another question saying, well, no, this kind of can come next. Someone said, we are about to relocate, so we're looking for a new home. What would you look for if you were buying a new home?
Okay, so then it depends on how old are your children. Right?
Yes.
If they're like 9 and 10, soon to be, pre-teens, then you probably want to think forward a few years to what their needs are going to be as teenagers.
Yeah.
And then location is probably more important. So a location in a little town, like in our region at least, a location in a little town is preferable to being in the hinterland, we would say, when you have teenagers, because they want a sense of autonomy. They want to be able to go out on their own. They want to meet up with friends. And if they're stuck 15 minutes from the nearest town and they're reliant on you to drive them, that's frustrating for them.
Yeah. Our kids can walk to their after-school jobs. They can walk to their friends' houses. They can walk to the skate park, the playground. Marlo and Wilkie walk down to their drama class after school on a Wednesday. They love it for that reason where we live. And it means that, like we said before, it means we don't have to spend a lot of time driving them around. We have friends who live just like 10 minutes out of Bangalore in the hinterland, and they're selling their house and hoping to move to Bangalore because their kids are all getting older and they have all these activities, and she just spends her life in the car.
Yeah, so then when they're little, it's the opposite could be true. Because you don't have to really drive them around. They're super content to be at home and have a bit of space, and these hinterland properties, you have big trees that they can climb and, lots of areas they can just run around and explore.
It's great for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So really, I think, I mean, in the end, you're really just going to be lucky to find the right place that suits you. It's hard to control all these factors.
Right.
But
I'm to think things like I answered an interview yesterday and she said, what are your kind of non-negotiables or like with your own home? And there are things like like I love having a kitchen island because I feel like a kitchen island is a space where your kids can sit on the stools. Teenagers can come and sit there and talk to you while you're cooking. While we're making pancakes on a Saturday and Sunday morning, our kids are sitting there waiting. Wilkie's often drawing there. It's a very social place. It's a hub. It's always been a hub for our family. And so that's something that like I always.
it's also incredibly useful space if you cook a lot at home.
Yeah.
You need the extra counter space.
Yeah. So something like that. We really like love having friends for dinner, and we obviously have a big family ourselves, so we really need a big dining table and a space that can accommodate that. So again, those are things that like I think when it comes to really to searching for a home, or even if you are just within the home in the limits you have, like understanding what's your priority, what do you love doing as a family? Like if you love watching sports together on a Sunday, like you want to have a great TV room with a comfy sofa and a big television, that's a good thing for you to have. And like, if you love entertaining, you want to make sure that you have space to entertain. We have sort of a titchy dining area, but we set up this pizza oven outside and this like deck space that is the best place to have friends for dinner because it's so easy and it's outside and you don't make a mess of your house. And so there's things like that. I think it's just understanding what it is that you love doing as a family, and then trying to make those thoughtful choices within your home to accommodate that or to allow those things to flow easily.
Yeah.
We're going to go back because I skipped some.
Okay.
So this next question, how do you keep the home tidy and minimalist while still allowing young kids to have fun?
I mean, in the chapter of our book, Be Playful, it is all about how you can organize your space so that kids will want to play within it. And so decluttering doesn't mean getting rid of all the toys and all the fun.
Chapter in our book called Be Playful, and it's really about how your home can help encourage inspire play and
still look good and be
clutter free.
Yeah.
I think it's about being thoughtful about, first of all, I think it's being thoughtful about the toys that you buy and that you keep in your home. And I've always believed that more toys does not make more play. It doesn't actually work that way. In fact, I would argue that the opposite is true.
Isn't there research that backs that up too?
Yeah, I think Kim John Payne of Simplicity Parenting argues this, and I always really love what he says on that. And I think we've seen it within our kids that the fewer options you have, the more engaged they'll play with those options, and the more kind of creatively they'll play with them. And they won't just like go from one thing to the next. They'll kind of sink into that type of play. And so for us, we've always chosen to have like a few favorite toys within our living space that encourages play. So a basket of Schleich animal figurines and a basket of Kapla blocks or other building blocks. When we were little, we had a basket of train tracks and trains for Easton and Quinn, and they used to love those. When they were little. Sorry, did I say we? When I was little, I played with trains and tracks too. Yeah, and I think it's about being thoughtful about those toys and then about how you display them. So I really love baskets because they're so easy for the kids to help themselves to those toys. And then it's easy to throw them in the basket when you need to tidy your space up.
Yeah, and easy for the kids to do that as well.
Yeah, so, and if you just have a few baskets, over time, your kids can understand which basket holds what, and it can be relatively organized in tidying up time.
Yeah.
And so I think that having a minimalist home is still totally possible when you have toys and you create a space your kids can have fun.
Yeah, and if you want it to look stylish as well, then it's about the toys that you choose to display. And we use the example of the plastic electronic, kids piano.
Which we did have. We actually did buy that. Like I have so much regret in that choice.
Yeah.
It was this like plastic table with a bunch of like each like of the four sides of this table had like a different thing that but your toddler could do while standing at this table, and had like batteries. It made all this like stupid noise and
Flashing lights.
And I remember like anytime Easton had a friend come over or we had a play date, it was the one thing that always caused fights. They would always fight over that stupid thing. And then they would fight. And then in the end, like they didn't even actually want to play because it just got their attention. It screams to get their attention, but it doesn't hold their attention.
Yeah.
So I think like we learned very quickly that that was also very ugly and that it eventually is going to break and end up in landfill. So I think was like probably the last plastic toy we bought. I was like, no, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it's about the toys you have on play, and also like even teenagers, like in this whole chapter on inviting play, it's not just about little kids. It's about your teenagers too. We have backgammon, cribbage, chess stacked in a stack right near our dining table, and we personally play backgammon after dinner every night.
Yep.
We often find our teenagers playing chess or backgammon at the table. And so I think it's just about having them there, like having your games cupboard like accessible for them, and
they see them and the idea occurs
and they want to play with them. So I think, and that's still within a minimalist home.
Yeah.
So
well, you can buy very attractive backgammon boards, chess boards. Yeah.
I mean, often those things even live on one end of our dining table because they get used so much. Okay. How do you approach decluttering when you or your kids have emotional attachment to stuff?
Well, I think, to begin with.
Joyful, I think, wants to say that I'm really bad and I throw the kids' stuff away or I donate it.
Yeah. Courtney is an extreme declutterer. And if the kids disappear for a few days, they might come home and find a few things missing. But normally we get them to buy into the idea. And also they're fully aware that we live in a small space and we can't just keep accumulating things, and we can't. So they learn from a young age that, every now and again you have to clear things out, and you take them to the opportunity shop and you donate them to hopefully, other kids or other families who will be able to enjoy them. And so you get them okay with that idea, and then it makes it a lot easier when it does come time to declutter. And you give them time to work through it. Like you say, okay, there are like 30 teddies on your bed. We need to get rid of at least half of those.
We have friends who told us recently, we were talking about this, like the popularity of the Jellycat stuffed animals, and like how Wilkie must have
30.
Not 30, surely not 30. I think
Probably
15 Jellycat animals on his bed, and they literally, I don't know how he fits in there because it's a small bed. But anyway, our friend was saying that they did the Jellycat Olympics, and so it was like, what they have to like eliminate.
They would pair them off, and then they'd have to decide which one goes through to the next round.
Yeah.
And then
so that they went from 30 down to like 6 Jellycats, and the rest went to the charity shop, which I thought was such a sweet idea because it was getting the kids on board with this idea of needing to declutter.
Yeah.
And in a fun way.
It made it fun, yeah.
I think, when we lived in London, we had a hospital just down the street where actually some of our kids spent time. Like Mama got a really bad chest infection as a baby, spent time there. And one Christmas, we asked the kids to choose a couple of the gifts that they had just recently been given. And we took them down to the children's ward at that hospital and donated them. And they were all so keen on the idea. Like not one of them said, hey, this is a new present we just got. It was, we said, you have plenty, and this is a really great way to be able to say thank you to the hospital. And, so I think a lot of times I'm like, I'll explain to the kids about, that there are other kids that might need it or appreciate it or love this thing more. And donating it is a great idea for that reason.
Yep. And as for us,
I don't really have emotional attachment. I have emotional attachment to a few very sentimental things that I've had for a very long time. I do love an op shop treasure. So I do kind of have some of those things. But I think when you live in a small home and you have not a lot of storage, it really forces you to be mindful of what you take and what you
Also,
accept into your home.
we live with the ever-present threat of mold, which grows on basically anything that's left to collect dust for a few months. So you have to really be mindful of that when you get things, and you don't want to buy things that are going to get moldy. And so therefore you buy less, or you get rid of it, or, there's just fewer things you can actually maintain without them,
And we've lived here for 9 years now, and I only just bought a winter coat when we were down in Tasmania because there's been a few times I've been down to Sydney or somewhere actually cold and needed a coat in the winter time and haven't had one. But for the last 9 years, I would just borrow something from a friend because I just, our closet is that space there behind us, and I have half of it and Michael has the other half, and there's just no space in there to store a winter coat. Um, so you can do things like, I think, like that. But I think like in terms of decluttering, another thing is like before Christmas or birthdays, we'll talk to the kids about their closets and or their drawers, and the kids each have like a drawer in their desk where they store stuff. And we say, your birthday's coming up, your Christmas is coming up, you're gonna get, you've asked for some new clothes or you've asked for some new toys or whatever it is that they're asking for. And I think, in order for those new things to come in the house, we've got to make space for them. So we can get them on board that way too.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay. So we got a question about renting our house out on Airbnb. Someone said, how do you get comfortable with this idea of having your house, other people living or staying in your home? And she said, do you worry about your stuff getting ruined or walls getting scuffed or wine spilling on your sofa?
Yeah, well, we've been doing it since 2012, really. So that was the year of the London Olympics, and it was the first time we got on Airbnb and put our house on Airbnb.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, you were in the States. I was there.
I forgot we did that.
Yeah. And that went really well. And some very nice people came over from San Francisco and stayed in our house and had a great time. And so that kind of opened us up to the possibility. And then we had a flat in London. When we moved here, we kept a flat in London for a few years, and we would put that on Airbnb. And it was full of our stuff and the stuff that we kind of, the keepsakes from our life in London that we didn't want to move over here. And so we were letting strangers stay there, but it generally worked well.
Well, now we do it regularly. I mean, this house we rent usually around Christmas time, so it's like the summer holiday period, and Easter, and often that kind of big holiday time in the winter.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3 times a year, this house is rented on Airbnb, and we've kind of been lucky. We've never really had a bad experience with it.
No, nothing major. You do get like walls scuffed. That does happen from time to time. It used to happen a lot.
That's just repaint.
And just repaint it.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. You just expect that. And anything that's really precious, we would maybe put away. Not because
we do, like our good knives. We kind of have a system now where we have some plastic IKEA bins that we keep in the basement downstairs. So we'll put away anything that's like really precious, or like I had a spatula that I use for my porridge and I don't like it to be used in savory cooking, and so we hide that away. And so we have like we do put some stuff away.
But generally, I mean, besides making space in the closets and drawers for people,
we leave our stuff out. Yeah, and we've never worried about it. And I think, like the question about like, do you worry about wine spilling on your sofa? We have a house manual that says like we would really prefer for no food and drinks to be outside of the kitchen and dining area, because it's something like we like we don't wear shoes in our home, and I think you can say in your house manual, like our house is a shoes off house, and we prefer for food to be kept in the kitchen and dining area and not in.
Yeah, and most people will abide by those rules. Of course, some people won't.
Yeah.
You can also, the way you create your listing in terms of what you say and how you position the home will attract a certain type of guest. So, we're very clear on both of our listings now that they're not party homes. If you want to party,
then
suitable for families. They're suitable for families. They're not suitable for groups, and we had very few requests from like, groups here for a stag party or, a hens party. So, people get it, probably all of them say, this is our family home. So we want them to know right from the beginning that it's not like a commercial property that we're just trying to churn through guests and make as much money as we can.
I think also people feel that. We have a beach house that we do rent out on Airbnb like a lot. It's mostly rented out through the year. And Michael always says, don't you want to put away that nice face or like your nice things? And I always feel like a house that has nicer things in it that doesn't just have your basics or like just IKEA furnishings or decorations, people appreciate more. There's like a feeling within that home that I think people honor or value. I don't know.
Maybe they take better care of it because
of that.
Okay, these are real pots and pans. This is not the $100 12 pot set from IKEA.
Yeah.
So
I think one thing that we do like about renting our house on Airbnb, apart from the income that it provides us, is that it forces us to clean our house, tidy our house, clear out our cupboards, like the drawers in the bathroom we have to clear out and we scrub them clean. And and then because that, like I know we have a booking in January, so I'm very conscious now of like keeping things clean and not letting drawers and cupboards get cluttered.
Yeah.
And so it's nice for that.
Yeah.
And it forces us to like, we had like a loo roll holder that was like broken for however many months. And like, it forces you to fix that, or like the creaky doorknob that, has stopped working. You need to fix it.
Yeah.
You could almost live with that if you didn't have people coming to stay in your home. But when you do, it forces you to do those. So
definitely.
So that's the good.
So yeah, all in all, it's been really good for us. Yeah. Someday something bad will happen, but like that's why you have insurance, and you just, in the big scheme of things, or the greater scheme of things, it works out in your favor.
Yeah. Okay. So someone asked what our boundaries are around screen time. We don't need to talk too long about that because we've kind of covered a little bit of that earlier.
Yeah. Well, so quickly, our rules are, well, first of all, we turn off the kids' access to the internet between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. And mainly that's to prevent the teenagers from using it at that time.
And that applies to our 18 and 16-year-old who have mobile phones.
Yeah. And then, so we don't want them on while they get ready for school, and we don't want them to staying up till midnight online. So that's what we do.
What we found is like they would wake up and get immediately on their phone. And it was just so annoying, instead of like walking in and looking in our eyeballs and saying, good morning, mom and dad. I'm like, it's like they can't do that now. So they don't. And it's actually really good.
Yeah.
So
then we have no devices at the table, or really in any social situation.
Yeah. So obviously, our teens know never to do that.
Don't have dinner with your phone. And don't get on it.
Quinn got caught getting like a text message in his pocket the other day, and like the look on his face, and he knew he was in trouble. So it's not even allowed. They're not even allowed in pockets. I don't like to even have them anywhere near the dining table.
Yeah.
And then we have device-free day, which is every Sunday.
Yeah.
Which the kids actually really enjoy, I think.
They do. And sometimes it's hard because teenagers have homework. And homework involves them being on a laptop.
Yeah. We sometimes make exceptions.
We have to, but we try to like say, okay, well, after 4 o'clock, after we've done like what we're doing as a family, then sure, go do your homework, get on your computer.
Yeah. So we have, those are our simple boundaries, I would say.
Yeah.
There's other ones, but.
And in general, we just like try to poo-poo overuse of phones,
Yeah.
For ourselves too.
For ourselves as well. Just being conscious of when our kids are around, not being on our phones unless, we need to be.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So a big question here. How do you manage the mental labor of managing a household? Covering off who needs to be where and when, what needs to be done and when, ordering the gifts or items for special events in time, and how does this interplay with work, particularly work that is self-directed? Sometimes the chaos of housekeeping pales in comparison to the chaos of keeping up. First of all, I think that this is something that we all struggle with and we all have to work on. Like every family everywhere has to work on this kind of finding the right balance. Yeah. And I think that, well, for us, it really is a balance. And I think that that's always the advice I give to people when they ask me, to mothers. I think that it's really important to communicate well with your partner, assuming you have a partner and you're not a single parent, to ensure that you're both working at this. It's not just something that should fall onto one of the people in that relationship. And like when we moved here, so in London we didn't have this system, but since living here, Michael he cooks the dinners, and and he doesn't just cook the dinners, he actually thinks about what we're cooking, and then because of that he does the ordering of the groceries. And that's just like such a big thing that I don't have to think about. I never have to think about like the food in our house. Like, you just take care of that. And it's huge. And I think that like there's things I do, obviously, that you don't have to think about, like all the emails that come in from the school and messages, and you need to sign this form and you need to do that, and then there's this meeting. I'm like on top of that, so that you don't even have to like think about that.
It's dividing the life admin.
Yes,
because that's what's because she's talking about, or he's talking about, the balance with work and basically life admin.
Yeah.
And if you're fortunate to have a partner, you need to share the life admin. I mean, whether or not it's equal, but in just some way that allows you both to then work too. And also not just work, then to have time with your family and be present with your family too. Because if you're spending, your 16 waking hours just juggling life admin and work, then, there's a consequence to that too. So
yeah.
it just has to be shared.
Yeah. And then I think what it comes down to then is like communicating with each other. If you're feeling really, really overwhelmed, it's about communicating with your partner about how you're feeling, and being able to have like an agreement of like where can one person step up more.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for us, what works well is that we really have clear roles. There's not a lot of ambiguity. It's not like, we wonder who's going to do this today, or who's going to cook dinner today, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to think about it because that's just my job.
Yeah.
And, the same thing, who's going to put the laundry on, that's you.
Yeah.
Who's going to deal with the garden? That's me. So like, we just know what our roles are, which makes it easier to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's true, that we have kind of clear.
Yeah. I mean, I like in the, you said you answer all the emails from the school, which some days can be like half a dozen, which is great, because then I answer all the emails from the electrical company and the internet
The bill. I have to.
and the accountants. Yeah. So
yeah. Oh, that's another thing I feel so grateful I don't have to think about, because it's not my favorite thing to talk about.
yeah. So it's just
Yeah.
I mean, it gets overwhelming, and I feel like, and I don't know if this is true or not, but that our generation has way more life admin than our parents did, because basically the internet has enabled us to basically do everything. So if we want to book flights, we can do that ourselves. We don't call a travel agent anymore. If we want to do our accounting, we can do it ourselves. We don't need accountants anymore, up to a certain level.
Yeah.
And so like, it just means we've got,
a lot to do.
5 times the life admin that our parents did.
Yeah.
Because they would outsource it. And I guess we could still outsource it.
Yeah.
But it's expensive, so.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that what happens in families where they get overwhelmed too is just the amount of stuff that they've agreed to do, the amount of after school activities, the amount of obligations that you have to get your kids from this place to the next place. And so I would say also that it comes down to being very conscious about what you're saying yes to.
Yeah.
For us, we allow each of our kids to have one after school activity a week. So like right now, Marlo does drama on a Wednesday, and then there's nothing else. Like on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, she's got kind of free time. And so I think that, some people say, oh gosh, like, isn't she a little bit bored? But we feel like that's, as much as we can manage in our family,
That's right. And she's not. And if she wanted to play soccer too, we wouldn't say no. but it would just depend on like
Well,
say,
soccer's
if
within
soccer, well, that's it.
walk there.
Soccer required driving 15 minutes each
Or
way.
he wouldn't probably say yes.
Probably wouldn't do it.
So I think, in lots of ways, I think when you have lots of kids, it actually requires there's a certain surrender that comes with that, where you're just like, we can't do it all. So there's kind of, you put a boundary around it. And I think that can be helpful in managing the chaos, or managing, that not getting to a point where you feel very stretched and pulled in a million directions.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a very personal question, which I always get excited about because I'm an open book and can talk about anything. So someone said, have you ever gone through a couple crisis? And what are your tips for reconnecting in our romantic relationships? So the answer is yes. We have gone through a couple crises.
Yeah, with either.
Yeah.
We've been together for 22 years.
What? Yeah. And I would say that, like, there's been times where we are not very connected at all. I mean, it's funny because I don't remember noticing it or caring about it, but definitely if I look back to like the first 10 years of motherhood, I would say that we weren't very connected. We were very good at parenting.
Yeah.
But I don't think you and I were very connected in our relationship.
No, I would agree. Yeah.
But it kind of wasn't a priority. We were just like literally surviving each day and keeping those kids alive and fed.
Also, it was different rhythms too. I would go to the office at 9 a.m. and come home at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And so, how much time do we have to spend together? Just the evenings. And
yeah. Well, and then we just had lots of little kids. And so I just think, it wasn't a priority for us. But definitely, like, in the last 5 years, as our kids have grown older, there's been way more space for us to actually think about it, and want to prioritize it, and to be even able to notice those moments. Like, I notice now when we are feeling very good and connected, and I notice when we're not. And, it's still like, even now when we put a lot of effort in, especially over the last
there's just come like a week or a few days where you just feel out of sync. You just don't feel.
Yeah, you just don't feel like, I mean, it's funny. I have a girlfriend, and we often do like walks around the Oval. And every time we go for a walk, she'll say, "How are you and Michael today?" Like, how connected are you? Because it's literally different every day, or like every week it feels different. And then I'll ask her, and it's different for her too. And like, sometimes you're just feeling really good and connected, and like it's like you're really into that person, and and sometimes you're just not. And I think, as women, like, we have a menstrual cycle, and that obviously plays a part. So you get like throughout the month even, and Michael makes
There are good weeks and bad weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think is really normal,
Yeah.
But we really try hard. I think if you want to have a connected relationship, both of you have to really want that, and you have to work at it, because it's like, it doesn't just happen.
No.
And like, when you feel like, I'm really a believer in communicating how you feel, saying like when something doesn't feel right, because I feel like otherwise, I know personally in myself, if it doesn't feel right, I'll just start to harbor resentment and kind of this yucky feeling towards you, unless I just need to get it out, and we can kind of clear the air, and then like kind of go forward. So I would say that definitely helps. You're not as big of you're not as
I'm just not as good at it, and also I can like handle a certain base level of just frustration before I feel compelled to speak, which is that's not a positive attribute, but it's, just the way my sort of mind works.
Well, I think also you don't like confrontation.
Yeah, maybe.
You don't necessarily jump at the idea of having like a deep and meaningful conversation. I feel like sometimes I'll like walk into a room with a certain look on my face, like I want to talk to you about something.
Yeah.
You get this look of dread, like, oh shit, we have to have this conversation again.
Yeah.
Or, oh no, well, here we go. What do you want to talk about? But then I force you to talk to me about something, and it always brings us closer. And in the end, you're always thankful that I did that.
Yeah.
So I think that communication is really important, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I guess it helps if one partner is willing to get in there first and bring things up.
Yeah. Yeah, that does help, I think. at least within our
I
relationship.
don't know, both partners could do it, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so those are the personal questions we got, and then we got a few questions about the book. I'm conscious that we've been talking for a long time. I don't know how long because it's not telling us. But
Let's go through these quickly.
yeah, let's go through these quickly. So someone asked, how did you choose the homes and families that are featured in the book? And was really fun actually. We photographed homes in Los Angeles, which is the city where we met and we lived and we have family and friends. And we then went to London and photographed homes in London, which again is where we lived for 12 years. And the majority of the homes that we photographed in London were homes of our friends, homes that belong to our friends. So homes that we've been in and we know and we loved. So that was a real joy to be able to include those homes. You know, my friend Vanessa Boss has always had the most inspiring home, and I was so excited when she let us include her home in there, and same for so many friends in London. So um, that was a real joy to be able to include those. We came back here to the Northern Rivers and we photographed homes of some of the people around here. We really tried to photograph a variety of different homes. So there's like a 3-bedroom flat in London for a family of 4. Here in this area where we live, we photographed a converted shed, which was like a shed that they turned into a home, and such clever uses of the dividing up that space and storage. And it was just so clever the way that they've created this home for their family inside this little shed. We photographed an old Victorian gatekeeper's home in Winchester in UK, and that was super charming because of its, old age. And we obviously included our own home.
And a lot of, like, once you spoke to friends about, shooting their home, they said, oh, maybe you should look at my other friend's home. So it was friends of friends as well.
Sometimes friends of friends.
And then did you find a few on like Instagram, like the family in Dulwich? Where did they come from?
Yeah, from Instagram. And I reached out to her, really, really loved her. And she had 2 older boys, like 20 and 22. And I just thought that was so nice to be able to include a couple with older kids that didn't just have like little kids at home. And so I was conscious of like how families look different. We went and photographed the home of Roman, who's a single father with his 2 boys. And I wanted to kind of feel like we're portraying a different type of family, that it wasn't just like, so I mean, we tried to just get a variety and, in different places too. I really wanted to capture not just homes in Australia. So,
I mean, if we could have, we would have photographed homes in lots of other countries too, right?
Oh, we would have. I would have loved to go everywhere.
It's just the budget.
I would have liked to go to get like a cool apartment in Tokyo, where they like
or
really know
camper van.
space saving efforts. And it could have been so cool to include so many more, but obviously we were limited to our budget. We had to spend that travel budget ourselves, and so it was limiting.
Yeah, and also a limited
just time.
Yeah, it all done.
Yeah. So someone asked, or a few people asked, why we're not on the cover of the book. We've got Annika Huston, who lives in Altadena in California, and her little daughter is so, so sweet. And
we're on the back.
We are on the back. Yes, that's right. It was a really, really tricky thing to get because our kids are all big now. So in order to get our kids in the photo, there was just a lot of humans and big limbs, and it took up so much space and it felt very crowded on the cover.
Also, we were missing our eldest because he was already at university.
Yeah, so it felt really weird to put a photo of 6 of the 7 of us on the cover. That also felt weird. And I don't know. We didn't
also
photo.
And we didn't feel the need to have to be on the cover either.
We did it.
It
was a discussion.
This photo could have been any number of other photos that, if they really spoke to us, we would have been happy to put them on the cover, and not necessarily us.
Exactly. So but there was a lot of discussion around it.
It was.
And there were lots of really beautiful shots of just the home itself, but we felt like it's not just an interiors book. It's a really kind of personal, heartfelt book about family life. And I really wanted to convey that on the cover and to have people in that shot. So in the end, we ended up with the photo, which I love, and that her home was so special and so beautiful and thoughtful. And this was such a sweet scene that they were just doing naturally. Nothing was styled, and it just felt so genuine. And I was very happy to have it on the cover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last
The
one.
last question. What is our next book about? I almost feel like we've talked so long, but the next book is very sweet, and I'm very excited. I can't wait for it to come out. It's a book about connecting to nature, about encouraging your kids to pay attention to the changes and seasonal shifts that we experience. And so it literally goes season by season and shares rituals, rhythms, activities, and crafts for each season. And it's a really sweet book. We've been photographing it all year long as we've journeyed through seasons, and it's really encouraged us to pay more attention to the seasons. And we've been giving our kids these craft projects for each season, which has been so fun and so sweet. And we've been doing a lot of crafting and, cute, like a few seasonal little meals or like recipes that your kids can get involved in. And
Yeah, I mean, and a huge theme of it is reconnecting with nature, because this is something that the current generation of children is really missing out on. And the amount of time that kids spend outdoors or noticing what's outdoors is going down every year. And so we're hoping this book gets families to notice that and gives them reasons and things that they can do to get their kids to engage with nature.
Yeah. And so that will be out next year. So it comes out a year from now.
Yep.
September 2026. So yeah. So thank you so much for listening to us. I fear that we've gone, this is definitely the longest of our podcast episodes. We've tried to keep all the others to under half an hour so that they were very listenable. This one will require more of your time.
You can listen to it on 1.5 times.
Michael likes to do that. Michael listens to his podcasts in the kitchen while he's cooking sometimes. And I come in and I'm like, I can't even hear it.
It's not 1.5 though, it's 1.25.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so fast.
Just a little bit fast.
Anyway, you can do that to us. We won't mind. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Thanks again for all your wonderful and thought-provoking questions as well. And
if you're interested in the book, we would be so happy.
Yeah.
To buy it, you can get it from our website, courtneyadamo.com, or you can get it from Amazon or Booktopia or any other bookseller. Yep.
Go into your local bookseller and hopefully they have it. And if they don't, you can ask them to order it in. And that's a wonderful way to support your local bookseller. If you order from us at courtneyadamo.com, we will sign it and send you one. So that's also a little thank you. And we're just so excited for you guys to get this book into your hands and can't wait to hear what you think about it. So thanks so much.
And that's it for this series.
That is it for the series.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Family Home Podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, we'd love for you to read our new book, The Family Home.
Our book is full of thoughtful and achievable ideas for real family life, from clever storage solutions and shared bedroom setups to meaningful ways to display your children's artwork and how to make the most of small spaces. With stunning photography by our friend Amelia Rushforth, you'll see inspiring and thoughtful homes of all shapes and sizes, with so many ideas for creating a home that sparks imagination, encourages independence, and brings the whole family together.
You can click the link in the show notes for more information. We can't wait for you to read it.
Thank you.